Some people make more money and somehow stay broke. Then they get a raise and stay broke again. Their salary rises, their lifestyle improves, maybe the apartment gets nicer, the car gets newer, they stop checking prices as carefully, and yet somehow, the same feeling follows them, waiting for payday, checking the account before making a purchase, feeling rich for 3 days, then wondering where everything went. And this is strange, because if earning more automatically fixed being broke, every raise should solve the problem, but it doesn't. There are people making $40,000 who feel broke, people making $70,000 who feel broke, people making six figures who are still one major disruption away from panic. So clearly, something else is happening, and once you see it, you start noticing it everywhere. Because staying broke often has less to do with how much money enters your life, and more to do with what happens immediately after it arrives. Most people are trapped inside a loop, and the loop is so normal, they don't even realize they're in it. Imagine someone named Marcus. Marcus gets paid on Friday, $2,000 hits his checking account. For a moment, everything feels fine. Then rent, car payment, insurance, phone bill, credit card, groceries. Friday night comes. He had a long week, so he orders food. Saturday, he buys something small. Then gas, another automatic payment. A friend invites him somewhere, and suddenly, the account looks familiar again. Low. So Marcus waits for the next paycheck. Then it arrives, and the entire process starts over. Money comes in, money goes out, money comes in, money goes out, again and again. And that's the strange part. Marcus's real problem is not that he never gets money. He gets money every month. His problem is that almost every dollar entering his life already has an exit. His paycheck is temporary, but his lifestyle is permanent. So his financial system has one predictable destination, back to zero. And once you understand that, you understand why raises disappear. Think about it. At some point, you may have thought, if I just made an extra $500 a month, I'd finally be comfortable. Then your income increased. And for a while, you were. But slowly, the extra money became normal. Maybe you moved somewhere slightly better, started eating out more, upgraded your phone, added a subscription, chose convenience more often. Nothing felt outrageous. But 6 months later, you were waiting for payday again. Which means more money doesn't necessarily break the loop. Sometimes it just makes the loop bigger. A person earning $3,000 can have a $3,000 loop. A person earning $6,000 can have a $6,000 loop. A person earning $10,000 can build a $10,000 loop. Different income, same destination. Zero. That's why some high earners are secretly fragile. From the outside, they look wealthy. But if the paycheck stops, the entire machine starts shaking. And this is where people usually reach for the wrong solution. They assume they need a much bigger salary, or the perfect side hustle, or one investment that finally takes off. But if the same loop is waiting underneath, more money can simply give the loop more money to consume. That's why this matters before the next raise, before the next promotion, before the next big opportunity. Because if you don't change what happens after money arrives, you can spend years increasing your income without increasing your security. So what actually changes this? Surprisingly, it's not a secret investment, it's not a perfect budget, and it's not never enjoying your money again. It's something much simpler. You create a gap, a permanent gap between what enters your life and what leaves it. Now, I know, you've heard, spend less than you earn 1,000 times. But that advice misses the most important part. Because creating the gap is not enough. You have to stop your lifestyle from closing it. Suppose you make $4,000 a month and spend $3,700. There's a $300 gap. But if that $300 sits in checking, it feels available. And available money has a strange tendency to disappear. Dinner, a sale, a random order, a weekend plan. So by the end of the month, the gap is gone. This is why I'll save whatever is left fails so often. You're trying to build wealth from leftovers. But leftovers are unpredictable. The real shift happens when part of your money leaves the spending loop, before your lifestyle can absorb it. The paycheck arrives, and some of it stays. Not accidentally, intentionally. Maybe it builds an emergency reserve, maybe it pays down expensive debt, maybe it buys diversified investments. The destination can change, the mechanism doesn't. And this is where everything starts to change. The moment some of your progress survives the month, your financial life stops fully resetting. That sounds small? It isn't, because most people think wealth begins when you have a lot of money. Often. It begins when you stop returning to zero. First, $200 survives, then $600, then $1,000, then $2,000. Nothing about this looks dramatic. Nobody sees it. You don't suddenly feel rich. But underneath the surface, your financial life is changing because zero has gravity. When you have no buffer, every problem becomes urgent. A tire blows? Emergency. Hours get cut? Emergency. Unexpected bill? Emergency. And when everything is an emergency, you solve today's problem using tomorrow's money, credit cards, loans, buy now, pay later, borrowing from the next paycheck. Now, future income arrives already damaged, before you even earn it. Part of it belongs to the past. That is how the loop tightens. And notice how unfair this can feel. The person with no buffer doesn't just pay for the emergency, they may pay interest on the emergency, late fees because of the emergency, overdraft fees because of the emergency, then lose part of next month's paycheck cleaning up the emergency. Being close to zero can make ordinary problems more expensive, which means the first money you keep may do more than grow. It can stop your life from repeatedly charging you for being unprepared. But imagine two people get the exact same $700 car repair. The first has $40 available, so the repair goes on a credit card. Now the $700 problem follows them into next month, possibly with interest. The second person has a cash buffer. They hate paying $700 too. But when they pay it, the emergency ends, same repair, same price. Completely different financial consequence, which reveals something most people don't realize until much later. Your first few $1,000s may be more powerful than they look. Not because they make you rich, but because they stop ordinary problems from repeatedly making you poor again. That's the part people miss. The first goal isn't necessarily to get rich, it's to become harder to knock back to zero. And once that happens, every improvement becomes more powerful. Say you finally pay off a $400 monthly car payment. Most people absorb that $400 into life. A few months later, it's gone. But what if $300 of that payment never returns to your lifestyle? Now your gap grows by $300, or you get a $500 monthly raise. You could spend all $500, or enjoy $200 and permanently redirect $300. Now you improved your life today while strengthening your future. And that leads to one of the most useful rules in personal finance. Wealth often grows when you refuse to consume 100% of every improvement. Not 100% of your income, every improvement. Raises, paid off debts, lower bills, side income, unexpected money. Because if every improvement becomes a new expense, you can earn more forever and never escape. But if part of each improvement widens the gap, something strange starts happening. At first, you are doing all the work. You earn, you save, you invest. It feels slow. Then eventually, the money you kept may begin contributing too. Cash can earn interest. Investments may grow or produce distributions. Those returns can buy more assets. And now the system begins to change. You are still working for money, but some of your money may begin working alongside you. And there is a psychological shift here too. At the beginning, saving can feel like deprivation. You see money you could spend and choose not to. But later, once you have a buffer and assets growing, spending every available dollar can begin to feel strange. Because now you know what retained money can do. You've seen it absorb a surprise bill, you've seen it prevent debt, you've seen it create options. The habit stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like protection. This is why the beginning feels so frustrating. 5% growth on $1,000 is only $50. 5% on $10,000 is $500. 5% on $100,000 is $5,000. The percentage didn't change. The machine did. And no, investments don't rise every year. Markets fall, returns vary. Nothing is guaranteed. But the principle remains: money you consume is gone. Money you retain can potentially keep participating in your future. But this is where the idea becomes much bigger than saving money. Because the real advantage of money isn't just buying more things, it's buying distance. Distance from zero, distance from panic, distance from having one bad week destroy 6 months of progress. Because when you're broke, decisions are urgent. You take the bad deal because you need money now. You stay in the terrible job because missing one paycheck is impossible. You borrow because there is no time to wait. But financial margin buys time. Time to search, time to negotiate, time to recover, time to say no. And that's when money becomes something bigger than money. It becomes control, and control creates another advantage people rarely talk about. You make better decisions when every decision is not an emergency. You can wait for the better job. Compare prices instead of accepting the first option. Walk away from a bad loan. Handle a repair before it becomes a catastrophe. Sometimes having money saves you money, simply because you are no longer forced to choose the fastest, most expensive solution. So no, understanding this doesn't magically make someone rich. Income matters, circumstances matter, and not everyone has enough margin to create a meaningful gap right now. But once you do have any room at all, the game changes when you stop letting every dollar disappear. Because your first buffer protects the next. Lower debt widens your gap. A wider gap helps you build assets. Assets may create growth, and progress begins reinforcing progress. That's the mechanism. Money comes in, you interrupt the loop, you keep a piece, you protect it, you build something that survives, then you repeat, again and again and again, until one day, you realize you are no longer rebuilding your financial life from zero every month, and that is why, once you truly understand this, staying broke becomes much harder.